Don't even film it.
Welcome back to the North Smoke Homestead. We're so excited to share what's been going on in the garden since last time that we saw you guys.
One of the first things we decided to do was start a compost pile.
It was our first big step towards becoming homesteaders.
We were unnaturally excited about it.
For the back garden, we tilled because we had a lot of grass. That felt like the quickest way to get rid of it. We've heard mumblings of other methods.
We're just trying things out at this point, and the time is ticking for us to get stuff in the ground for a fall harvest, so we figured it'd be just best to go ahead and take out the grass using tilling.
Our mower had a flat and we needed to mow before we could get to work.
Would you say you're wheelie happy because you were tired of looking for it?
One of the first steps tilling the garden and getting it ready was to move all these items we had in this back area, trailers and vehicles and things, get them out of the way.
Hey, okay. This is not sponsored by Buzz Patch.
And then we got to tilling.
In case you can't see the light rays melting through Bede's epidermis, this day happened to be about 100 degrees. It looks like this process went really quickly, but it's just because we edited down to spare you. It actually took Bede about an hour and a half to complete the tilling.
It's about a 20 by 33 foot plot.
We rented our tiller, so we got it packed back up to return, and now we're ready for planting. Keeping with the spirit of doing things cheaply, we decided to get 2 of these tiny bags of soil and just spot amend for this year.
At the same time, we got some diatomaceous earth to help with our ant problem.
So you laid it around the base of the plant?
Soil around plants.
Are you supposed to lay it down wet or dry?
You don't want it to be wet. In fact, the rain stuff tends to wash it away. So,
okay.
Use adequate ventilation and avoid breathing the dust.
Yeah, I did know that.
And we gotta figure out where we want to put it exactly, but you can plant 2 plants into the soil, so you can.
Right. It's not gonna hurt the plants or us to eat it. It's just breathing it in. It's kind of how it works on the bugs, right?
Yep. This thing is weird. It's warped down. Like, why is it growing?
I don't know. That was always the weakest one of the ones that survived.
But
other than that one in the middle is
It's got
really.
some great peppers on it though. That's amazing. And it's just trying to kill this poor bell pepper.
I wonder if that bell pepper will actually reap any fruit. I kind of forgot it was a bell pepper, honestly.
Yeah. It's possible this thing doesn't keep destroying it.
Maybe we can stake that with a stick. Where are the little boys when you need them to hunt down a stick?
Like a stick. Are you gonna attach it somehow?
I was just gonna prevent it from rolling down.
Yeah, I think we probably need something to catch it.
Maybe just put 2.
Yeah.
Oops, that was completely out of focus. Good job. Me. And now to finally get to that planting we promised.
Our cheap spot amending. Starting to sprinkle right now. It's, what time is it? 8 after 8:30?
Oh yeah.
8:45.
Well, the gardens get a nice drenching tonight.
Yeah, we were going to water it when we were out here, but
now we don't need to. Thanks, nature. In order to help out with flooding, we tried to make these garden beds level and raised up a little bit, and it was a lot of work, but I think it was worth it ultimately. It seems like the garden beds are doing okay. and the one that we didn't do that to is suffering a little bit.
Luckily, the one that it's suffering is actually zucchini, which is going to live through an apocalypse. But we did get a couple. There's Bratleys over there. Didn't get to show you this morning.
Ooh. All the grass. We'll try to make sure that 90% of our channel doesn't just become showing us weeding this garden. But it probably will be 90% of what we're doing. It dawned on us there's a lot of things we've never explained, so we're going to take some time and tell you a little bit more about our garden. So if you're wondering why you sometimes see us working in the big garden out back, that's just basically a big plot of dirt, and a smaller container garden up near our house, that's because we started a very tiny garden in the spring. It was not very successful, but our jalapenos and our tomatoes have done fairly decently. So we'll work occasionally in the smaller garden up front, but we're concentrating most of our efforts on the larger back garden.
One of the most recent projects that we're working on right now is trying to put a fence around this large garden we've got in preparation for chickens. They're not here yet, but we want to be well prepared.
We're currently looking into what breed of chickens we're wanting to get. We're looking into some heavier breeds so that they can't fly over whatever fence we do make, because we don't have a very high fence to put up, and we're just trying to work with the resources that we have right now to make it a little bit more cost effective.
We've got several feet of reclaimed hardware cloth that we're going to use, some from a previous time of keeping chickens. Not the tallest, but should be adequate for immediate purposes.
In the big back garden, we've got a lot of plots that have started sprouting things, and some that are actually doing fairly well. Our cantaloupe, our zucchini are doing really well. We've got some tiny little tomato sprouts coming up through the ground. The pathway idea kind of was born when we had no idea where our garden beds were, and we knew we wanted them a little bit elevated so that the water wouldn't puddle in them. So we just kind of started raking out pathways, and we put cardboard over them to try to help abate the grass in those areas, and I think it's worked okay so far. We still have a lot of grass growing up around the edges. I imagine that will be a problem for us for a while until we do something more proactive to combat the grass.
It gets a little hot on bare feet when we're grounding. The cardboard does.
But so does the ground sometimes. So it's equitable, I think. We've already made a couple of errors that we've learned from. We planted the bell peppers right next to the jalapenos, and we actually planted 2 different varieties of tomatoes next to each other. So we're not going to be able to collect seeds from any of those things, because otherwise the seeds won't be good for really anything next year. But
cross-pollination.
yeah, what was it? We heard that the bell peppers would grow spicy. We found a piece of vinyl picket fence on the side of the road, so we're planning to trellis our cucumbers up on that, at least some of them.
It's organic vinyl.
Yeah. It's not cage-free vinyl though. We've actually been asked why we opted for planting directly in the ground rather than doing raised beds. That can help a lot with weeds and grass and that sort of thing. I think it can help with pests as well. Raised beds can be a little bit pricey if you're purchasing the lumber and all of the fill dirt or soil or whatever it is that you want to fill your raised beds with. It can be a really large upfront investment, and we wanted a little bit lower risk for this year. It would be nice to have some raised beds at some point, but we'll see how this configuration works out for us, and we'll see how this size works out for us. And this is just kind of a good opportunity to see how our soil is. We are planning to do a soil test at some point, so you'll definitely get to see that if we do. But we knew that even if we did a soil test, it was going to take several months before any amendments to the soil would be viable to grow in. So we just decided to plant into the ground for this year and see what we can cultivate. It'll be a good opportunity to build good habits and to learn about our area and about the amount of sun and shade. And
speaking of shade, I have definitely realized we've got some barrier trees in between this and the next property that are on my side of the property, so I'm already seeing some trimming that's going to have to be done, so probably going to get our hands on a pole saw and get some of that down. There's not enough daylight hours right now on the garden, from what I can tell, at least where it's sitting.
It is beautiful.
Two tiny little plots.
The radishes right now. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to check back in next week when we share some exciting new updates.
Remember to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss any of our new videos. You can also follow along with us on Instagram, our blog, and Pinterest. Links in the description box below.
Are you okay?